Du caca poo poo.
And that was the famous scene from Bruce Almighty, where Jim Carrey, he used Evan Baxter like a puppet because he had powers from God, and he was upset with him. He was trying to get him back, so he used him like a puppet, and he embarrassed him his very first day as Anchorman. Evan Baxter got the job that Bruce Almighty wanted. And so that was just the famous scene where Evan Baxter was just humiliated. Humiliated. And he cried. He cried and was nervous and everything else. So welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I am Shanrae. We are on week 2, part 1 of Embarrassment. Tonight, the subtitle is, are there people that do not get embarrassed? But before I get started, let's move on to my website disclaimer. All righty then, here we go.
Please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to changes in policies, all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself are limited to the current and available material, but the final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal rests with you, the client. Information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information changes frequently, and it is recommended that you, the individual, will consult another physician, another specialist, and or religious leader to aid you in your overall behavioral wellness.
All righty then. So you all know that I am a degree counselor. I acquired my degrees, a dual degree from Ashford University in psychology and organizational management. My great passion is bringing healing to people who have been through traumatic or stressful experiences. And we all know that when human beings experience trauma or severe life stressors, it is not uncommon for their lives to seem like it's unraveling. I help clients who include children, adults, and families to find healthy perceptions of themselves and to strengthen their relationships so they can know themselves as peaceful, complete, whole, and safe. So let's get into this. I am also a Christian counselor. So and let me open this a little bit and I'll close it back very carefully. Okay. My scripture for the whole year is going to be from Ephesians 4:23, the NIV version, and it says to be made new in the attitude of your mind. All right. Good evening, Helen. How are you? So good to see you. The key points for tonight, let me open this very quickly and I'll close it back. So the key points for tonight are there people who never get embarrassed? And we're really going to unpack that tonight because it's almost, that's something that almost unheard of. Are there any people out there who never get embarrassed? Number 2 says, do psychopaths ever feel embarrassed? And that we're just going to cover that very briefly. What stops incompetent people from feeling embarrassed? The Dunning-Kruger effect. Who's affected? The takeaway and the quote. So let's get started because this 30 minutes will come and go very, very, very quickly. This is an open platform. If you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. If you want to share any life anything that you've been through, some life lessons, feel free to do that. I will pause and I will highlight it. All right. I want to say good evening to my YouTube viewers. Good evening to my Twitter viewers. Good evening to my Instagram viewers. Good evening to my Facebook viewers. Good evening, everybody. So glad to have you on. So glad to see you. So let's go on and get started. The first thing we're going to cover is, are there people who never get embarrassed? And that is a really big question. Are there really people out there that don't get embarrassed? So it says that some people may not feel embarrassed because of their confidence, their self-esteem, or other traits. For example, people with very high self-esteem may not consider being ashamed, okay, and may feel stronger after getting through a difficult situation. People who are consistent and confident with their true character may also rarely feel embarrassed. So studies have shown that people with a sense of self-worth find situations almost 50% less embarrassing than people who are unsure of themselves. I remember Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz was on a show and he was actually being interviewed. And so it was his workers, the people that work in the doctor's office with him, and they were all talking. And so they asked everybody, said together, they said it's one thing that they really wanted to mention to Dr. Oz and ask him, could he kind of curb by doing it? And so Dr. Oz was like, well, what is it? And so they all said, can you stop passing gas around us and just walking away? And so he honestly did not feel embarrassed by it, because he kept saying, well, it's a normal, it's a human part of our body. There's something that we all naturally do. And he just never ever felt embarrassed about passing gas in front of people. And it took his staff members and the people that work with him to actually say something to him concerning that. And so that's an example here about some people who don't feel embarrassed, but they have very high self-esteem. They're very, very confident. And I just thought that was really, really funny. So the second question that's been asked is, do psychopaths ever feel embarrassed? I'm going to touch on this and I'm going to keep going because this is a whole thing that I don't want to really get into. It says psychopathy is characterized by a lack of empathy and inability to understand the feelings of other people. So psychopaths are thus unlikely to experience any of the so-called self-conscious emotions, such as embarrassment, shame, or even guilt. And for instance, when they get caught in a lie, a humiliating experience for most people, they're unfazed by that and easily change their story, which means that they will go on and add in another story, another lie on top of that. We've witnessed, most of us that watch the news or watch any form of the news or anything, even on social media, we've witnessed a former president who is like this, never embarrassed by the lies that come out of their mouth or never embarrassed by the things that they do. And so we all have witnessed a former president who's exactly like that. They just never ever feel embarrassed and ashamed or guilt for the things that they say and do. And so that's an example that I can put out there because we've all witnessed it. I want to show you another quick example of someone who should be ashamed of something, and but they were not ashamed of it. And I thought I put it right here. Let me see, where did it go? My goodness, where did I put it? Oh, here we go.
Excuse me, ma'am. We have a 300-pound weight limit.
I don't weigh no damn 300 pounds. I weigh 165. How you doing?
So anybody that's familiar with Norbit, the movie Norbit, that was one of the most comical scenes out there. One of them where Vespuccia, the wife, was told that there was a 300-pound weight limit to go down the water slide, and she just straight up, she wasn't embarrassed. She was appalled that the person even even thought that she weighed that much. And then she lied. So that was another like comical example of that. So let's keep going. Let's keep it pushing because this 30 minutes is going to go by and come by quickly. All right. So the next thing that we're going to hit on tonight is what stops an incompetent person from feeling embarrassed. And I think we've all have been around someone that may have been incompetent in certain areas. And some people, some of them, most of them, a lot of times, they don't feel embarrassed for the things that they interject and they do. So it says, here's the example, and this is by cognitive bias. This is about cognitive bias, where this is where my theory and my research comes from. So the author says, or the theorist is saying, let me introduce you to Karen and Paul. These are hypothetical people. Okay, they're confident, but not exactly the best performers at work. So they believe that they got superhero powers, but nobody really appreciates that. And so the theorist said that I bet that you've met similar people during the course of your career. Okay, people who are incompetent and unable to recognize their incompetence. Now it's high time that we understand why people behave this way and why they're the ones who speak out the loudest. Okay, so ignorance and competence is the very next thing. Ignorance and competence. Can it each reside in the same way, in the same person? So the hypothetical person, Karen is a newly minted IT manager. She doesn't have any technical background, but that does not stop her from speaking in front of software developers and giving them technical advice. Wow, that is bold. Karen loves to share her opinion during various meetings, and of course, she does it in order to gain acceptance. So this is one of the things that Karen has said. Yeah, I know, Matt, but we should choose technology X for our project. I know that our competitors use it, and from my perspective, it looks perfect. However, her knowledge is based solely on a couple of articles that she read on the internet, and yet her voice means a lot in the organization. So this is a dangerous combination of poor knowledge and power, which it really is. I believe a lot of us have experienced that at some point in our lives, being up under a leader who was definitely incompetent. They were not really supposed to be in that leadership position. Maybe they got the position because of who they knew or something like that. And because of this, the arrogance that goes along with it. All right, so let's keep it moving. The best performer ever. Okay, the best performer ever. So Paul, again, the theorist is using a fake name here. Paul is a mid-level developer, and this is his second job. This is only his second job. He's absolutely convinced that he's a great programmer. He's doubled his salary by switching companies and moved from a junior to a mid-level position. Even though he is not the most experienced person on the team, he believes he's the one of the best. And after work, he arrogantly tells his friends everything that's going on his job. Okay, so like, for example, he says, they should pay me a lot more money. I can learn new stuff quickly, and I know more than most older colleagues. They just don't utilize my full potential. All right, so again, that's a perfect example of someone who is not embarrassed for their lack of knowledge, but they're put in a position, and they instead of them actually being humble enough to learn the position that they placed, that they're put in, and even to be a team, to work with the team who has a veteran status, they don't do that. They just stand on the fact that they, whatever was placed in a position, and that because they've gotten a little bit of knowledge on something, that they can run with it and then just run the whole department down. I've been in positions where the leader was just not the one who should have been in position and just ran the entire department down. Okay, so let's now talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Let me open this up just a little bit. Okay, that's the wrong one. So let me keep going. I'm just talking and not moving the screen. Here we go. The Dunning-Kruger Dunning-Kruger effect. All right, so the Dunning-Kruger effect is an inaccurate self-perception described as the Dunning-Kruger effect, also known as Mount Stupid or Smug Snake. This is not my words. This is the theorist. This is a real theory, guys. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is also known as Mount Stupid or Smug Snake, which is a cognitive bias, which makes incompetent people unable to recognize their incompetence. Okay, so what is more interesting? Not only are they unable to see their incompetence, but they are actually confident in thinking that they're very competent. So the combination of poor awareness and low-level skills makes people overestimate their abilities. And this, with that combination, that is the theorist, the legal theory terminology for that is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Okay, so Professor Dunning also found an example of irony where knowledge and intelligence overlaps. The knowledge and intelligence that are required to be good at a task are often the same qualities needed to recognize that one is not good at a task. And if one lacks such knowledge and intelligence, one remains ignorant that one is not good of that task. Okay, so that was a lot of words right there. What Dunning found out was that a person who with a high level of self-esteem, and they may be highly intelligent, but that doesn't mean that they know every single thing about everything. But because of these qualities, because they are highly intelligent, and they are placed in a position, they don't have any room for growth. And they will totally lead their team down into a path of destruction because they're not teachable. They feel like that they're so smart that they know everything. They can't hear anything from any. They're a terrible team worker. And again, we all know people like that. We all work with people that are like that. So that is a recipe for disaster right there. Okay, so let's talk about now. But where's the problem? They want to know, where is the problem? So in the article, Dunning points out that the deficit in skills and self-perception is an overlapping problem. Incompetent people tend to not only overestimate their own skills, but they also fail to recognize their own mistakes and the expertise of others. They fail to recognize the expertise of other people that's within this, maybe in that genre. So another dangerous factor is that sometimes tiny scraps of knowledge people may have in a particular domain give them a feeling of understanding something deeply. So it lets them feel wise, even if they spend only 10 minutes on the issue. For example, there are a whole lot of people that are YouTube learned. They go on YouTube, you watch a quick video, you learn how to do something on YouTube, and now you feel like you're the expert. That's kind of an example right there. But put you in a place where other experienced or veteran people within that field, and you think that you can stand up against these right there with these people, and because you learned what you learned on YouTube, and you think that that's enough education that will actually put you on the same main level as someone that's actually went and got educated in the field. That is dangerous, and that's what Mr. Dunn, the theorist Mr. Dunn, is talking about. He said, have you ever met anyone who, after reading just one article, started to share his opinions and then argue with specialists as if he was the expert? Now, y'all know I'm a Christian. So my example with this is, I remember being taught growing up in the Christian church, as you are learning the Bible, as you're learning the Bible, they used to tell us, do not go out and try to defend the Bible or the Word of God. It doesn't matter if somebody is trying to pick and pry at you. They was like, because you're newly learning the Bible, just let them have their opinion or whatever until you get a deeper knowledge of the Bible and what's going on. We were taught Just let people have their opinion. Don't argue the Bible with anybody else. And I remember a young minister, a new minister, he had got up and he was allowed to speak before the congregation. And he talked about how he was at work or something, and the co-worker was just really downing the Bible and the Word of God. And he started arguing with that person and wound up really just going off and cursing that person out. And he came back when he got up and was able to speak. And he said, now it took that experience for him to understand that he was, although he was a new minister and coming up and learning the theology of the Bible, that because he was still very new and fresh to it, that he really should have just taken the advice that was given by the pastor of the church. Just let people have their opinion. Don't argue about the Bible with anybody because you're still new and you're still learning it. And so he talked about how he just flopped and failed, but at least he was teachable with that. The theorist Dunn, he's talking about someone that'll take a little bit of something and will argue a professional, a veteran, or a professional down as if their opinion was solid gold, and they still feel right in what they're doing, although they were wrong. So Mr. Dunn said, what if that person was a manager, a director, a CEO, or simply someone in a position of power? He said, little knowledge leads to overconfidence, and that leads to poor decision-making, as the old saying goes. So a little bit of knowledge can be a dangerous thing, the theorist Dunn says. So failing to recognize one's own mistakes also leads to a reduced ability to self-improve. He says, so how can you improve your skills and the use power of constructive criticism if you cannot even see that you're doing something wrong? And that's serious. How can you improve if you don't even see that you're doing something wrong? Okay, so now Mr. Dunn talks about who's affected. Who's affected by this, by someone that's like that? He said all of us are. We're all affected by the Dunning-Kruger effect. It doesn't matter how experienced or proficient that person are in that specific area. He said, I bet that there are still many subjects that we're not competent in. So no one can be an expert in all domains. He says IT managers who possess leadership skills can mistakenly believe that those skills can jump over onto technical areas. Domain experts believe that they're also great at leadership in other issues like those. And like I was saying earlier, even me being a degree counselor, I don't know everything about the field because there's so many theories out there. There's so many findings out there. We've covered a lot of the foundation when I was in college for 4 years. And then I do my own research between each counsel of the day. But there are so many theories out there and findings out there. I am not an expert in the entire field of counseling and psychiatry, but I continue to make sure that I learn more and more. That's why I get excited when I learn about these other theories that's been around. I get excited and I share it because there's always a question out there when we see something that may you don't really have the answer for, and you wondering what is this, and then if I'm able to expound and to bring it to light and then talk about the strategies of this whatever behavior or that you all may have experienced or been around, and to bring a name to it, and also again not only bring a name to it but bring in strategies how to combat it, that excites me. So no one should know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what field you in and how, and even being educated, there's always room to grow. And that's what theorist Dunn was saying. So we're on our takeaway, guys. We're doing good. We 25 minutes in. So let's go to our takeaway. Let me open this really quick and let me close it back. So the takeaway for tonight says it's not related to IQ. All right, so that the Dunn-Kruger, let me excuse me. The oh Lord, this Kruger effect is not, it's not related to IQ. So the phenomenon is not related to a low IQ. So even if you achieve the high score on an IQ test, you may still be susceptible to such an occurrence. So this is why sometimes you can see people who speak openly about topics they should not even bring up, but that's only because their brains stop them from feeling embarrassed. So even with that, some people, they don't feel embarrassed, and it is not an IQ thing. You would think that sometimes it's because somebody may not have a high IQ. That's why. No, this can happen to, this effect can happen to anybody. The Dunn-Kruger effect can happen to anybody. So let's move on to our quote. I'm going to open it really quickly and then close it right back out. The quote for this evening says, "Embarrassment is where growth happens." Embarrassment is where growth happens. And that's by Jaylen Brown. So those that are teachable, a lot of times it's uncomfortable when you're in an embarrassing situation, but a lot of times that's where you learn what to do and what not to do by being embarrassed. I'll tell you. So let's move this on. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. The quote for tonight is, "Embarrassment is where growth happens." And that's from Jaylen Brown. He's the one who said that. All right, so let's move on to my theory website page. Let me open this. This is where I got my findings from my fellow theorists. This is where I got my teachings and my findings from. All right. So, Better Up. Create personal and professional transformation through expert coaching at www.betterup.com. If you're looking for a life coach, you can go to Better Up, www.betterup.com. All right, Adda plus community. I love it. Empowering adults with ADHD, ADD, and OCD to live their best lives. A different brain requires a different approach. Adda plus community. And so that's a community. It's a support system for those, again, those people that may have been diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, or OCD. Adda. All right, 988 Crisis Helpline. Help is available. You can connect with people that you can trust. If you're struggling, if you know someone who is struggling, it's okay to share feelings. Okay, the 988 Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people who are in distress. Prevention and crisis resources for them or for their loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. 988 hotline, 24/7, and it's free. All right, let's keep it moving. Better Help. So if you want a safe space to speak with a licensed professional that's online, BetterHelp offers affordable counseling sessions for individuals, couples, and families. And www.betterhelp.com. Yes, and they will switch you with the right counselor who can help you if you want to just speak with someone. And it's affordable. Learning RX. Learning RX, okay, is a brain training where it offers a way to strengthen your thinking skills. All right, so they have a history of helping more than 2,622 adults who have increased their IQ by 13 points or higher. Okay, and this during the brain training. If you want to gain with more skills in your working memory, your long-term memory, and your attention, www.learningrx.com. And I stand on Learning RX, I tell you. All right, so I should have moved this over and I did not again. If there is a past Counsel of the Day with Shanrae series that you have missed or you just want to rewatch, go to my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, and then select any past series that you choose to watch. Okay, my YouTube channel is Shanrae Price. All right, and let me go back. Let me walk it back this way. If you're interested in professional one-on-one counseling services from me, feel free to contact me via Facebook Messenger at Shanrae Owens, or you can do it old school and email me at shanrae@gmail.com. I'm a lifestyle strategist, and my aim is to aid you in your life's goals and your life's dreams. Okay, so I am going to see y'all Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for part 2 of Are There People Who Really Do Not, they've never experienced embarrassment? Okay, so y'all enjoy. I have a wonderful Tuesday night. I will see y'all on Thursday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for part 2 of Are There People Out There Who have not experienced embarrassment? Okay, I'm gonna let y'all see this for a few minutes, and then just to give you another laugh about an embarrassing moment. Here we go.
I want to remind you again, our station's at your disposal. You're more than welcome to use any of our interrogation rooms.
Well, we appreciate it, Lieutenant Gerke, but we're all set.
All right, well, if there's anything at all,
Excuse me. I'm just gonna go have a drink, Lila. So, if I could